There are reports that Avengers Endgame is going to be 3 hours long. I guess with all that story and all this, all that resolution from 10 or 11 years of storyline building, when the Avengers had their final fight against Thanos, they're like, we need 3 hours to tell that story. And it makes sense with all these different characters and stuff. And I support that. There are a lot of people these days, I don't remember this when I was younger, but there are a lot of people these days who seem to have a problem when movies say are going to be long. They say, I don't want to stay in there that long. It's going to be long and drawn out and boring. But in Avengers Endgame's case, I support 3 hours because, like I said, there's a lot that they have to do with this movie. The Russo brothers and the screenwriters, they have a gajillion characters, and it's supposed to be kind of a wrap-up of the first 10 years, 11 years of Marvel stories. And, all these storyline threads have built up to this moment. And I think that to completely, mine all the story for all it's worth and give people a satisfying conclusion to this era of MCU movies, that should be 3 hours. I would accept it if it was 4 or 5 hours long. Now, granted, I'm not like everybody. I see movies all the time, and I think I have a longer attention span than a lot of other people. I'm there. If I want to watch a movie, I don't care how long it takes. And so, 3 hours to me is fine. If this movie was only going to be an hour and a half or an hour and like 20 minutes, that might be cause for concern. But given, the kind of movie it is. But, 3 hours, that's great. And, I think there were other movies that have been really long and very successful. Like, I think Titanic, I was really young when Titanic came out, but I think that was 3 hours in 1997, right? That was a 3 hour long movie. And I don't remember what I was thinking when I watched Titanic, but I don't remember thinking that I had to leave the theater because it was too long. But to compensate for this, for people who do have shorter attention spans, who aren't used to watching movies that long, in one sitting. A lot of people watch movies at home on streaming these days and they pause and stuff because you're at home and there's no problem. Marvel's considering making the movie have an intermission. And I think for that very reason, to give people, a break, a breathing room if they need it. But I don't think they need it. I think that if people really want to watch, especially since people love Marvel so much, they'll sit through 3 hours straight. I mean, people will find a way. They can go to the bathroom before the movie starts. I think Marvel needs to give people more credit. If this is true, if they are really considering, an intermission. I mean, I think people would stay for 5 hours for a Marvel movie, this kind of Marvel movie. I mean, 5 hours is kind of ridiculous, but you know what I mean. I think people could handle 3 hours. They can, pee before the movie starts and go in. Because, intermissions are usually for things that are longer than 3 hours, from my experience, like 4 or 5 hours. When you go into the theater or things like that, those can be a long time, and those can have intermissions in between. And I think, movies used to have intermissions in the old days, but I think that was when the movie theater experience was typically longer than it is today. Like Titanic, like I mentioned, that didn't have an intermission, at least not that I remember. So I don't think Avengers Endgame needs to have one. But if it did have an intermission, it'd be fine. It would give people, a movie like Avengers Endgame is one where people would love to talk to other people about it, right after the movie ends. So if there was an intermission in between the movie, in the first half, after the first half, people would break and use the bathroom. They'd talk to each other, about the movie. It would almost be like, recess at school, which is a weird, way to metaphorically phrase it. It's like, oh, look what just happened. What do you think is going to happen in the next half? I think for about 15 minutes, a lot of people would be chilling in the movie theater lobby, talking about the movie, or sitting in the seats in the theater, waiting for it to come back on, talking to other people sitting in there. It could be a lot of fun. Or out in the parking lot or whatever. And then, they would wait until the time ended and be like, we got to go back in and finish the movie. So, I think either way, Marvel will be fine. They could do the intermission or not. This movie's still going to make over $2 billion. And so they'll be cool. I mean, they have it. Marvel stans are the most devoted fan base, I think, of all fans. Well, I don't know. DC fans can be pretty faithful, but Marvel fans, I don't know. Marvel fans are pretty, into their stuff too. And, they will see this movie, whether it's 3 hours straight or an hour and a half with a break, and then go back for the other hour and a half. So, I support a 3 hour runtime for Avengers Endgame. And I do not think it needs an intermission, but if Marvel wants to give it one, they can do it. They'll still be fine. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.